Hi everyone, and thank you for your interest in the DIRFloortime model. My name is Denise Wilson. I'm an occupational therapist, I'm a play therapist, I'm a DIRFloortime training leader, and I'm the director of Connecting Through Play in Oxfordshire, UK. This video really is to give you a little bit of an insight into what I cover in the 2-day training program for DIRFloortime. It's an introduction course. And I'll just go through what happens across the 2 days. On day 1, we cover Dr. Stanley Greenspan's functional emotional developmental levels. And these developmental levels are well recognised, and they're used in the Bailey scales, for example, as the emotional developmental assessment. So they're well recognised levels, and they start with self-regulation. Now, you may have heard the term self-regulation in other capacities, in other areas. It's a growing area of research, and we know how important it is to be calm, focused, and able to take information in. So we'll cover how a child is changed when they are more calm and regulated, and actually, the kinds of things that stops a child being calm and regulated and able to process information. The next capacity we'll be talking about is that emotional connection, emotional engagement. So when we're regulated, we're more able to notice the world around us and become emotionally connected with other people. I talk about emotional Wi-Fi within the course. And what we find is that when children are able to become emotionally connected with people around them, they will want to show their ideas. So that's capacity 3, a child being able to initiate around their ideas, because they always have ideas, and we want them to share them with us and become more social beings and be comfortable with interacting with us around that. So we'll talk about strategies, and you'll get a deeper understanding into barriers to that and ways of enhancing a child to want to share their ideas with you. We don't want just children to learn how to respond and do things because we've promoted them to do it. We want them to share their ideas with us because it comes from inside them, and they're wanting to connect with us around that. So that's capacity 3, initiating around their ideas. And then capacity 4, we talk about things become more complicated. And as a child becomes a more complex thinker, we're helping them to develop more complex communication. We're looking at complex sequencing, problem solving, organizational skills. So OTs love this part. How a child can bear several steps of a plan in mind and share them with other people. It's for me, it's not good enough that a child can do things independently. I want a child to be able to do things interdependently, work as a team, work with each other, be assertive, persevere in their interactions. And that's what we talk about at capacity 4. They're a much more robust communicator. They're able to hold their ideas for longer chains of interaction and in more complex ways. So we're thinking about coordination, motor planning, and those aspects, really enhancing that area too, not just communication, but across the board in their thinking skills. And then capacity 5, we're looking at a child becoming much more symbolic. So we're thinking about how can we support them in their thinking in their mind so that their ideas are not just about what's happening now, but maybe ideas about what's happening in the future, thinking about things that are not so tangible, like feelings, and being able to understand feelings and express feelings. And of course, imaginative play starts to kick in at that stage. So early imaginative play develops at capacity 5. And then we work onwards to capacity 6, which is much more elaborate imagination, much more elaborate thinking skills in them, again in their minds. They're able to work out other people's feelings, other people's maybe thoughts, and other people's intentions and experience. So now the child is able to think so elaborately that they can work out that classic aspect of autism where we talk about theory of mind. So children with autism, it's usually talked about that children with autism don't have theory of mind. They don't understand other people's experience, other people's ideas, and maybe other people's intentions, because they can't imagine it, because they don't have that elaborate symbolic thinking. So those are the first 6 capacities. There are higher ones, but we don't cover that in the course. So we cover the first 6 capacities, the whats, the whys, and then the hows of how to support your child to elaborate in each area. Where are they at now? What's the next stage? Why have there been barriers to them developing those levels of thinking, and how to play in order to embrace that child and support their development. So that's quite a big chunk of day 1. As you can imagine, it's a lot to cover. And then also within day 1, we start to touch on those individual differences. So developmental, individual difference, relationship-based model. So this is the individual differences part. And the individual differences we cover are things like sensory processing issues. So I'm an OT, it's a comfort zone of mine, and it's such an important part of understanding human experience. Each of us have a different kind of profile, and that will impact on us regarding our strengths, and also our challenges, and again impact on our ability to be calm and regulated in those lower capacities. So we'll talk about the vestibular system, we'll talk about the proprioceptive system, we'll talk about auditory and all those aspects of sensation. Again, we have a 2-day course. We will elaborate somewhat within the time constraints, and also those health areas. We might allude to some of those health areas that are barriers to that child being able to process, and that might be impacting on them in various ways. But again, it's not a full course in itself, it's only part of the 2 days. Okay, then day 2, we really spend a lot of time thinking about emotion. This is a relationship-based model, and emotion is pivotal for that child. Emotional connection is pivotal for them to be able to awaken that emotional brain, because their emotional brain is so important for supporting that child to be motivated, to be curious, to get pleasure from interactions. And also, parts of that emotional brain really get heightened in stress situations. So how do we understand how to support that child to become less stressed? And how do we support that child to become more motivated to connect with us, to get more pleasure from being with us? And then we get that emotional brain firing, which supports a lot of the other areas of development for that child. Because if we get that lower brain firing around sensory, around self-regulation, we help that emotional brain support that child to be more motivated, curious, robust, assertive, loving, connected with people, then we can really support that upper brain, that cognition, to have a great stable base. So we're helping the child then in their more elaborate, complex thinking skills once they have those secure relationships in place. So what we'll be talking about is, how do we change ourselves as the supporters, maybe the parents or the professionals, how do we change ourselves to help that child develop? Okay, and actually it's a slightly different way of looking at intervention. We recognize that the child will develop and progress by the adults changing, by the environment changing, by us giving the support so the child can grow and flourish and have a fantastic future. We're not focused completely on just the child changing, okay? We want the children to develop themselves. We want the children to flower and open up in any way that we can do, whatever we can do to support them within that, okay? And then we'll be looking at floor time. How do we do that in play with the child, whether it's on the floor, whether it's in the park, whether it's at school, in the supermarket, wherever, to support that child across their day, across their lives, to show their highest level of skill, and become much more independent in their choice making, and within their life itself. So I really hope you can come. We watch loads of videos, we do lots of discussion, and I really hope that you will be able to join me there. Thank you very much and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.